So, what if school wasn't just a place neurodivergent teens had to survive, but a place where they could actually truly thrive? Today, we're digging into a really revolutionary new model called Sincerity Schools. It's designed specifically for autistic and ADHD students, and it's a total rethink of education, moving away from a system of just getting by to one that helps these amazing, unique minds flourish.
So how in the world does it work? Well, here's our game plan. First, we'll unpack why a new system is even needed. Then we'll get into the school's core philosophy, check out how the junior and secondary schools are set up, and wrap up by looking at the incredible potential this whole thing is designed to unlock.
All right, let's start at the beginning. Because to really get what Sincerity Schools is doing, you first have to understand the problem it was created to solve. Why is a new model even necessary?
You know, the core issue according to this model isn't some deficit in the child. Not at all. It's a fundamental mismatch. It's this clash between the way an Audhd brain works, that's a brain that is both autistic and has ADHD, and the rigid one-size-fits-all environment of most traditional schools.
And this is where it gets really fascinating. Inside the Audhd brain, there's this constant push-pull dynamic going on. Just imagine, one part of you is desperately seeking the comfort of routine and predictability to feel safe. At the exact same time, another part of you is craving new things, new stimulation just to stay engaged. It's like having one foot on the brake and one on the gas. In an environment that doesn't get it, that is absolutely exhausting.
So when a teenager has to deal with that internal tug-of-war every single day, their whole system shifts into survival mode. This can lead to something called structural dissociation, which is basically when the personality splits just to cope. You get one part, the apparently normal part, that puts on a mask to fit in and get through the day. And then you have the other part, the emotional part, that's silently holding on to all that stress, anxiety, and trauma.
Okay, so that's the problem. Fragmentation, masking, just surviving. So how does Sincerity Schools tackle this? Well, it all starts with their core philosophy, which is built on this really powerful idea, the body-mind connection. The whole school is built on these four big ideas. And just look at that first one, care over curriculum. That's a huge shift. It's not asking, what can this kid produce for us today? It's asking, is this kid's nervous system feeling safe and regulated? The belief is that deep, genuine learning isn't something you force. It's what happens naturally when a person feels safe and whole.
This diagram might look a little complex, but it boils down to a really simple, beautiful idea. Think of it this way. Traditional school can sometimes feel like a factory, right? Trying to produce identical products on a rigid assembly line. Sincerity Schools sees itself as more of a garden. The goal isn't to force anything, but to create the absolute perfect conditions, the right soil, the right amount of sun, the safety, so a child's own natural intelligence can just emerge and grow, all on its own terms.
So what does this garden philosophy actually look like in practice? Let's take a look at the junior school, which is for kids from ages 2 all the way up to 11.
Now, the first thing you have to get your head around is that they've completely thrown out the idea of grade levels. Forget first grade, second grade, etc. Instead, as you can see from this flow here, it's a fluid journey through 3 different stages of connection. A kid isn't stuck in one place. They can move between these stages depending on what they need emotionally, sometimes even in the same day. It's all about meeting them where they are.
And it all begins with connection to self. This is the foundation, where a child learns to feel safe in their own body and trust their own signals. Only when that foundation is solid do they naturally, gently, start connecting with others. And from there, they can finally engage with the wider world. Not from a place of fear or masking, but from a place of real, authentic strength.
Okay, so that's the groundwork laid in the younger years. Now let's see how this all evolves as students move into the secondary school. Here, the focus makes this really decisive shift. It moves from building safety to fostering something really profound, personal sovereignty, a sense of purpose.
This slide nails the transition perfectly. Let's go back to that garden analogy. The junior school is all about building strong, deep roots. That's the physiological safety. The secondary school is where the plant gets to grow tall and blossom. It builds on that safe foundation to cultivate things like executive function and a really deep sense of self-awareness. And here's the genius part. Instead of trying to fight the Audhd brain and make it act neurotypical, this model is designed to harness its natural strengths. One of those superpowers is monotropic focus. You might know it as hyperfocus. It's that ability to get into an intense flow state. The school is built to not just allow that, but to encourage it,
letting students go deep and build their own understanding from the ground up.
And they do this through a really cool, dynamic structure. You've got core pods, which are these small, stable groups where students can work on passion projects over the long term. And then you have funnels. These are short, intense, 4 to 6 week deep dives, where a student can just totally immerse themselves in something they're intensely curious about right now.
Now get ready for this, because it might be the biggest departure from what we're used to. Forget standardized exams. The cornerstone of assessment here is something called the Dharma dissertation. It's an annual, purpose-driven project. So instead of filling in bubbles on a test, students show what they've learned by creating something meaningful that actually matters to them. It's about authentic, interest-driven work.
So, after this entire journey, right? From building safety in junior school to fostering sovereignty in secondary, what's the end goal? What's the ultimate outcome we're hoping for?
This visual just says it all, doesn't it? The whole goal is to guide a student from the state on the left, a fragmented system stuck in survival mode, where all your energy is just spent coping, and move them to the state on the right, an integrated, authentic self, where all that energy is now freed up for amazing things like creativity, deep connection, and real insight.
And this journey of integration is said to unlock something the school calls the 10th intelligence. Now, this isn't just about being a polymath, someone who's good at a bunch of different things. It's something way deeper. It's about the synthesis of all those different intelligences into one dynamic, coherent whole. It's about seeing the world and all its connections in a completely new way.
So what does that actually look like? Well, it's the ability to see the complex forest where other people might only see a list of trees. That constant hypervigilance of a brain stuck in survival mode, it transforms into this calm, attuned awareness. This allows for an incredible capacity for deep empathy and for spotting patterns that nobody else sees.
In the end, the Sincerity School model is really an act of profound trust. It's a system built on the simple but incredibly powerful belief that if you just create the right conditions, safety, connection, acceptance, then every child already has everything they need inside them. They have the wisdom to grow, to know, and, just like the quote says, to find their own light and truly glow from within.